I tell people I've got good and bad news about the car I drive. The bad news is 20 years old. The good news, it's a Porsche. And it looks just like it did in 1999. Actually, it's 21 years old now. I'm Keith Cooley. I am a third generation U of M student, alumni. I was part of the class of 1967, so I go way back. I got my bachelor's degree in 1967. After that, I got a chance to do some work overseas in Italy and Germany. I was a COO and CEO of a not-for-profit called Focus Hope. And Focus Hope ended up feeding 40 to 45,000 people a month in the 5 counties that sort of border Detroit. And in fact, the reason the governor asked me to come up to Lansing and be a cabinet member for her was because she saw what we were doing and how we could take kids who no one thought could succeed and have them really succeed. She said, I want you to do that for Michigan. In 2010, I went off on my own again, helping to leverage Detroit's recovery with the clean, green collar economy, and to help young folks who might not otherwise get good jobs to be trained in those same sectors. You know, solar, wind, geothermal, biodiesel, all of those kinds of things.
It seems like you have a busy kind of schedule. What does every day look like for you? What is a typical day as Keith Cooley look like?
That's the good thing about my life. Every day is a little different. It could be filled with board meetings all day long. There may be a trip to Washington to talk with the senators and the Congress people that represent Michigan about why it's important to get our waters cleaned up and our air clean. Or it might be out visiting with kids. Those things came along, I think, because I was focused on making a difference, getting out and meeting with people and talking with people and trying to find out what was wrong and how we can get it fixed. So I always tell folks I talk to, if you focus on making a difference, making a name will come on its own.
Definitely.
I don't know about you, but people have told me from time to time, you're reaching too far. You can't do that.
Right.
And I had to get to a place where I just said, I think they're wrong. I came at a time when there weren't a lot of people like me that attended engineering school. And because I think most of us were thought to be relatively unprepared for the rigors of that kind of experience. I used to tell people when I was here that I could go to class every week and I could count on one hand how many people I saw that looked like me around the engineering school and have fingers left over. It was a difficult from that point of view, but you know, like I tell everyone, you need to make friends with anybody around who wants to make friends, because you never know when they're going to need you or you're going to need them. And friends that I had at that time were very helpful to me. I ended up going to school there, got a bachelor's in engineering physics, a master's in nuclear engineering, and was a walk-on gymnast.
Wow.
For the school. I was the first African-American to compete for the school in that sport. So it's doable. I tell everybody it's doable.
Definitely. That is, wow. A lot of firsts, a lot of overcoming. That is really great to hear, and pioneered kind of a way for people like me to now be there as well.
Being at college, and especially being at Michigan, was probably the thing I enjoyed most in my entire life. Some things have changed. There are other things that are as important, but I loved being at college. It was great. Football Saturdays, being able to go over to the stadium, and as a jock, I lived with 9 football players. So there was 9 football players and this gymnast, little guy. And being able to go to the parties and meet people that I didn't know and form new friendships, some of which, I still are friends with me today, was wonderful.
And so if you were a college student today, what kinds of things do you think you would pay attention to?
I would put a lot of attention towards the work that I had to do every day to get through school. But I would be just as focused on What are the other things going on around me that I might be involved in and might really like to be involved in that don't have anything to do with engineering necessarily? And I'd say, most importantly, do stuff that you think is scary. I don't mean rob a bank or jump off a 10-story building, but do stuff that you think you can't do, and it might be a little bit scary, but it's going to be okay, I've had a lot of twists and turns in my career, some ups, some downs, but I think the guy that I am now, I think the guy that I was would look at the guy that I am now and say, yeah, not bad. Sitting where I am now would talk with that person then. I would be encouraging a statement you probably heard other folks say: in times of crisis, the wise build bridges while the foolish build walls. So when we find ourselves in crisis, let's take a look at those police officers who took a knee and say, why can't we figure out how to extend a hand to them and talk with them and figure out how we can work on this thing together, as opposed to saying, well, they did dumb stuff, fire them or get rid of them or whatever. The more bridges we can build, the better a society we're going to be.
Gotcha. Definitely some good words. You're telling me too. I will definitely take those to heart.